More or less authoritarian states may have long periods of rapid economic growth, but it is no coincidence that nearly all the richest countries in the world are democratic, because democracy mobilizes new human and technological resources. China's new status entails increased responsibility. China must be prepared for criticism and regard it as positive, as an opportunity for improvement. This must be the case wherever there is great power. We have all formed opinions on the role of the United States through the years. Friends and allies criticized the country both for the Vietnam War and the lack of civil rights for the colored people. Many Americans were opposed to the award of the Nobel Peace Prize to Dr. Martin Luther King in 1964. Looking back, we can see that the United States grew stronger when the Afro-American people obtained their rights. China too will grow stronger if its people is being granted civil rights. Many will ask whether China's weakness, for all the strengths the country is currently showing, is not manifested in the need to imprison a man for 11 years merely for expressing his opinions on how his country should be governed. This weakness finds clear expression in the sentence on leave, where it is underlined as especially serious that he spread his opinions on the internet. But those who fear technological advances have every reason to fear the future. Information technology cannot be abolished. It will continue to open societies. As the president of the Russian Federation, Dmitry Medvedev, put it in an address to the State Duma, and I quote, "The new information technology gives us an opportunity to be connected with the world. The world and society are growing more open, even if the ruling class does not like it." No doubt, Medvedev had the fate of the Soviet Union in mind. Compulsory uniformity and control of thought prevented the country from participating in the technological revolution which took place in the 1970s and 1980s. The system broke down. The country could have stood to gain a great deal more from entering into a dialogue at an early stage with people like Andrei Sakharov. Your Majesties, ladies and gentlemen, today's world order is a consequence of the two horrible wars in the 20th century. The world had to move from nationalism towards internationalism by establishing the United Nations and adopting the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Today, therefore, neither the nation-state nor a majority within a nation-state has unlimited power. Human rights limit what the nation-state and the majority in a nation-state can do. This must apply to all states that are members of the United Nations and who have acceded to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. China has signed and even ratified several of the UN's and ILO's major international conventions and on human rights. It is interesting that China has accepted the supranational conflict resolving mechanism of the World Trade Organization. China's own constitution upholds fundamental human rights. Article 35 of the country's constitution thus lays down that citizens of the People's Republic of China enjoy freedom of speech, of the press, of assembly, of association, of procession, and on demonstration. Article 41 begins by stating that citizens have the right to criticize and make suggestions regarding any state organ or functionary. Liu has only exercised his civil rights. He has not done anything wrong. He must be released. Ladies and gentlemen, in the past 100 to 150 years, human rights and democracy have gained an ever stronger position in the world, and with them peace. This can be clearly seen in Europe, where so many wars were fought, and whose colonial powers started so many wars around the world. Europe is today, on the whole, a continent of peace. Decolonization after the Second World War gave a number of countries, first in Asia and then in Africa, the chance to govern themselves with respect for basic human rights. With India in the lead, many of them seized the opportunity. Over the latest decades, we have seen how democracy has consolidated its position in Latin America and in Central and Eastern Europe. Many countries in the Muslim part of the world are treading the same path: Turkey, Indonesia, Malaysia. Several other countries are in the process of opening up their political systems. The human rights activists in China are defenders of the international order and the main trends in the global community. Viewed in that light, they are not dissidents. They represent the world's common values and standards. Liu denies that criticism of the Communist Party is the same as offending China and the Chinese people. He argues that even if the Communist Party is the ruling party, it cannot be equated with a country, let alone with a nation and its culture. Changes in China can take time, a very long time. Political reform should, as Liu says, be gradual, peaceful, orderly, and controlled. China has, in his words, had enough of attempts at revolutionary change. They can only lead to chaos. But as Liu also writes, an enormous transformation towards pluralism in society has already taken place. An official authority is no longer able to fully control the whole society. However strong the power of the regime may appear to be, every single individual must do his best to live, in his words, an honest life with dignity. The answer from the Chinese authorities is to claim that this year's Peace Prize humiliates China and to give very derogatory descriptions of Liu. History shows many similar examples of political leaders playing on nationalist feelings and attempting to demonize holders of contrary opinions. They soon become foreign agents. This has sometimes happened in the name of democracy and freedom, but almost always with a tragic outcome. We recognize, for instance, this in the rhetoric of the struggle against terrorism. You are either for me or against me. Such undemocratic methods as torture and imprisonment without sentence have been used in the name of freedom. This has led to more polarization of the world and harmed the fight against terrorism. Liu Xiaobo is an optimist, despite his many years in prison. In his closing appeal to the court on the 23rd of December 2009, he said, "I, filled with optimism, look forward to the advent of a future free China. For there is no force that can put an end to the human quest for freedom, and China will in the end become a nation ruled by law where human rights reign supreme."
And that the charges against me are unconstitutional.
Your Majesties, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Isaac Newton once said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." When we are able to look ahead today, it is because we are standing on the shoulders of the many men and women who over the years, often at great risk, have stood up for what they believed in and thus made our freedom possible. And therefore, while some are only looking to the commercial interests, some political leaders only focusing exclusively on their short-term national interest, and others remaining totally indifferent, the Norwegian Nobel Committee has once again chosen to support those who fight for us all. We congratulate Liu Xiaobo on the Nobel Peace Prize for 2010. His views will, in the long run, strengthen China. We extend to him and to China our very best wishes for the years ahead. Thank you very much. Your Majesties, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it has not been possible, as you know, for Liu Xiaobo or any of his close relatives to come to Oslo to receive the Nobel medal and diploma. At this stage in the ceremony, when we normally hand over the medal and the diploma, I place them in the empty chair held by Liu Xiaobo.